Good morning, students. So, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Like yesterday, like we were discussing some doubts. So you can, if you want, you can share the doubts also.
Sir, in yesterday's question paper, one
Yes.
like they gave wrong, sir.
Which question?
Third question,
What is the question?
like two ropes are there and a point mass m is hung,
Two
suspended
ropes
by the
are
two
there
ropes.
and a point mass m is hung. Okay.
Yes, sir. Answer is supposed to be 2 pi into root over root 3 L by 2G, but that 2 is missing.
Yes. I think yes. Yesterday somebody sent like a message was like sent yesterday. Like one of like you have asked this doubt in the WhatsApp yesterday. Yeah, I think if you take it as a simple pendulum, you can take length to be like altitude of the triangle.
Yes, sir.
Then you will get 2 also in the down.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sir, I have another doubt, sir. It's not in the paper. Sir, they gave, it's a worksheet question, sir.
Yeah.
So
Like
they gave,
if you want, you can even share the question also. Like if you have it like.
no, sir, I cannot share it, sir. It's a small question, I'll tell it to you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, so they gave potential energy as a function of x, sir.
Potential
They gave
energy, gravitational potential energy.
No, sir, they gave potential energy for like a block undergoing SHM for small displacements.
Okay.
So the potential energy is U naught into 1 minus cos AX.
U naught into
1 minus cos
AX.
X. This is the potential energy as function of X. They said it undergoes SHM for small values of X.
Undergoes SHM for small values of X. Okay.
Yes, sir. Then how do we find the amplitude, sir?
Amplitude. Okay. Anything about the initial condition is given at like initially it's at rest or it's moving or something like that?
Initially it's at, why do we need that, sir?
No, why I'm asking is because like you will get, because amplitude is something you cannot actually get from potential energy expression.
Yes, sir. They didn't give anything about velocity
only
or anything,
potential energy expression is given. If only potential energy expression is given, you can find force. Force as function of X.
Yes,
and if you can show that force is proportional to X, then it turns out that it is SHM. But that doesn't allow you to find what is the amplitude. You can only find time period or angular frequency.
So they did not give what is the velocity at initial state.
There are different food designs. You'll see what we'll get. Minus du by dx. Minus u naught into differentiation of 1 minus cos x. Okay. That will be equal to sin x into a. Okay. So this is expression for force we are getting. And since you have given like small displacements, x is very small. So we'll assume that even x is very small.
So why is AX very small, sir? A can be very huge, no, sir. Then nothing is mentioned about A.
Yeah. Then we cannot conclude that it is a system.
Okay.
Right? We cannot conclude that it is a system. We'll have to like disagree with what the question is saying, that it is a system. But since he has stated that it is SHM, so that means we are bound to assume that AX is small. Because if AX is not small, then it is not proportional.
So they didn't mention it's SHM, they told for small oscillations.
Small oscillations.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Right. Then in that case, if we are not having this information about A, then we have to consider that it's just an oscillatory motion. Okay. Because like from the expression, it is clear that the value of sin AX will take positive values for as long as X is between 0 and pi. Okay. But if X is AX is more than pi, then it will become negative.
Yes.
So it can be oscillatory motion provided that AX is less than pi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in that case, it will definitely undergo oscillations because like on the positive value, for positive values of x, you get forces negative, and for negative values, you get forces positive.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So acceleration will be minus a into u naught by n into sin. Acceleration is this. Okay. Now we can do one thing. We'll take acceleration as v dv by dx. Okay. V dv by dx. We'll different integrate this. V dv integral is equal to minus a u naught by n. Integration of sin x dx. Limits should be. We'll do one thing. Obviously, at mean position, it is supposed to have maximum velocity, right? So we'll
Yes.
take at x equal to 0. X equal to 0, we'll consider that it is having velocity v naught. Where v naught is the velocity at mean position. Okay, so you get v square minus v naught square by 2. That is equal to minus a u naught by n. And the integration of sin ax minus cos ax. And if you substitute limits 0 and x, you will get 1 minus cos x. Okay, so this is going to be 1 minus cos x. Right, it will be minus a u naught by n. 1 minus cos x. So a is getting cancelled. So it comes out with minus u naught by n into 1 minus cos x. Okay, so therefore we can say v square. V square will be equal to v naught square minus 2 u naught by n into 1 minus. Right. So this is velocity at any general time. So we will take velocity as dx by dt and we will take under root here. Velocity is dx by dt.
So,
then we will bring all the x terms on the denominator and take dt on the other side, and then we will have another integration.
sir, we'll have v as a x as a function of t, no, sir.
Yeah, dx by under root of v naught square minus 2 v naught by n into 1 minus cos ax. Integration of this is equal to integral. Limits I'll take 0 to t here, and here I'll take limits as 0 to x. I'm considering that at t equal to 0, it's a mean position. Okay, so right hand side is simply t only. Left hand side, how would you integrate? You have dx by root over v naught square. V naught square is a constant minus 2 u naught. This is not v naught, it's actually u naught. 2 u naught. 2 u naught by n into 1 minus cos ax. So we have a linear expression of cos ax under the square root in the denominator. Any standard integral is there for this? Or like any substitution you can do?
I don't think so, sir.
See if you can figure out this. Any other information is given in the question other than what you just said?
Sir, I'll read out the exact question, sir.
Yeah, please do that.
A particle of mass m is moving in a potential well for which the potential energy is given by u of x equal to u naught into 1 minus cos ax, where u naught and a are constants.
Okay.
Then for small oscillations, what is the amplitude, time period, and speed of the particle at x equal to 0?
For small oscillations, what is the time period and amplitude?
And speed of the particle, like maximum speed of the particle.
Maximum speed of the particle.
The oscillations will be SHM if AX is small.
Yeah, if
Length
Ax
about
is
a.
small, then we can say it is SHM. Okay.
But in length about a.
So, any answers are given or like answers?
Yes, answer is given. If they take AX is small, we get time period, sir. And
Okay,
we
so
get
time period comes if you take Ax as small.
yes, sir. Then how do we find amplitude if we take AX as small, sir?
If you take Ax as small, you will get time period and like you will get frequency of oscillations also. But that you cannot use that to find what is amplitude. Because for finding amplitude, you should either know what is velocity at mean position, or if you know like amplitude, you can find velocity at mean. One or the other should be known.
Yes, sir. They should do something.
Or if it is given that initially it is at rest,
No, nothing. That was not mentioned.
Nothing not mentioned. So we can't conclude that. We can only conclude about time period, and that too if I assume AX is very small. Otherwise, we'll get some this sort of equation, which we have to integrate them, because I think integration of this will become a problem.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
can't
we
we
say
find
that where
I
can we
can't
say
hear
that
clearly.
where potential energy is maximum?
I'm not able to hear clearly. Can you check your audio once?
Are you able to hear now, sir?
It is
Sir,
okay.
can we say
It is
that when potential energy is maximum? Can we say that potential energy is maximum, or if acceleration is maximum, magnitude of
Potential energy-
acceleration, then
potential
it will
energy
be
is
at mean
maximum at,
position.
at mean position, we can say potential energy will be maximum or it will be minimum. At mean position, it should be actually minimum.
Or else, or like when magnitude of acceleration is maximum.
Magnitude
When
of
magnitude
acceleration,
of acceleration,
Huh?
then it will be at extreme positions, sir.
when magnitude of acceleration is
maximum,
when magnitude of acceleration is maximum.
maximum,
Okay. Then it will
then
be
it will
extreme
be at
position.
extreme positions, no, sir.
Yes, you can say that. So here acceleration will come out from this expression, force, because this is force. When this is maximum, this will have maximum value. Then you can say it should be the extreme position. But this will have maximum value when the sin AX is equal to 1.
So can't we find extreme positions
Maximum
from
acceleration
the-
will be A u naught by m. Maximum acceleration will come out to be A u naught by.
This should be equal to omega square into amplitude.
Yeah, can we say this? A u naught by m is maximum acceleration. Yeah, if this is maximum acceleration, then using this, we can say that this is equal to A omega. Because we have already assumed that it is simple harmonic motion. And so amplitude, if it is A, then omega is angular frequency, which we have found out in the process of finding that it is SHM. So using that omega here, we can find amplitude. Think we can do this.
But this is if we assume that the particle can reach that position, if the initial velocity is like enough to reach the position, only then we can say this.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But from the given conditions, it is moving in a potential well where potential energy is varying in accordance to this. Here we can take if AX will be equal to pi by 2, that will happen when X is equal to pi by 2A. Okay. So X equal to pi by 2A is what we will get. Okay. So that X equal to pi by 2A, we can consider as amplitude then, provided that it is reaching there. Of course, that we cannot conclude.
Yes, sir.
We cannot be
Yes.
sure of that it is actually going to reach there. Okay. Because it may be like somewhere, if you just allow the particle to move freely. Okay. So obviously, one can say that a particle is going to have maximum acceleration when it has lost all its kinetic energy and has come to rest, right? And I think in this situation, you can't figure out a better point than sin AX being equal to 1.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, if the amplitude is pi by 2a, then it is not small, no, sir, because we first took AX is small.
Okay.
That's if we
Pi
want
by
pi by
2A
2a to be
is,
small, A has to be big. If we take A is big, then we cannot have SHM.
You don't know about X, no?
Sir?
If A is big and if X is small, then?
Then we cannot say anything, no, sir.
No, if A is big and X is small and yet if product is small, then?
Sorry, sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Product of AX is small.
Yes, sir.
That is because X is very small and A is moderately small.
Sir, but if you take amplitude is pi by 2a, so pi by 2 into A is pi by 2. Pi by 2 is not small, no, sir. Finally. So SHM will not come, no, sir. If you take amplitude is pi by 2a, then AX is not small.
So it will be in a way contradictory a situation.
Yes, sir. If one option is correct, the other one is wrong.
Yes, because it is self-contradictory situation in a because like we have assumed that it is small oscillations and Ax is small, and then we end up getting some value of X which is not really small.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah, tell me.
In yesterday's paper, there was this question where a pendulum was attached to the ceiling of an elevator, sir,
Okay.
and the observer is in the elevator.
Observer is in the elevator.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. And when the elevator was at rest, the time period was found out to be t, sir.
Okay.
If it is accelerating upwards with g by 4, then what is the time period is the question.
Okay. If it is accelerating upwards, then effective G will be G plus A, that is G plus G by 4, which will be 5G by 4.
But the
Okay,
observer is also in the same frame as that of the pendulum, no, sir.
Correct. So according to that observer, the acceleration should be 5G by 4. Effective
Like,
acceleration due to gravity, according to that non-inertial observer, should be 5G by 4.
But the pseudo force which is acting on both the pendulum and the observer, no, sir. So with respect to the observer, won't there?
Pseudo force is what force is acting on the observer is irrelevant here. We have to look at what force is acting on the pendulum.
Like acceleration of pendulum with respect to observer, we have to check, no, sir.
Yes, acceleration of pendulum with respect to observer you have to check. So for that, what we need to do is, because the observer is a non-inertial observer, so therefore you are going to take pseudo force on the pendulum bar, not on the observer.
Yes.
Because like if you recollect like concept of pseudo force once, like what was like learned at that point of time is like whenever we are going to use pseudo force, we will consider that a pseudo force is acting on a body on which we are going to understand its motion with respect to a non-inertial observer. So we are not going to exert pseudo force on the frame also. Say here, like for example, if there is a wedge which is accelerating and a block placed on it. Okay. So like when you are going to analyze the motion of the block, you will apply pseudo forces on the block, and you won't be considering pseudo forces on the wedge there.
Yes.
Right. So same way you can consider here also.
Yes.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, one doubt, sir. I'll share my screen.
Okay. Question number? What is the question number? Can you hear me, Sriram?
Sir, are you able to hear me, sir?
I'm not able to hear you. Like, can you share it again? I
Yes,
was
sir.
not
One
able to
second.
hear you.
Sir, one second.
And which question number is it, by the way?
Sir, question number 12, sir.
Okay, yeah. Can you share it again?
Yes, sir. One second, sir.
Okay, mark the correct statements.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
Sir,
like, what is your
option
doubt in
A-
this?
Sir, option A should be right, no, sir?
No, option A is not right. See, what is option A? Gravitation potential at the center of curvature of the thin hemispherical shell of radius r and mass m. Okay. Now, gravitation potential at center of curvature or at the surface will be same only, right?
Yes, sir.
Or gravitation potential energy at the center, if you are considering due to the shell, it will just be nothing but the integration of minus g dm by r.
Yes, sir.
That will be nothing but minus gm by r.
Oh, mine. Okay, sorry, sir. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Minus sign is not there, so you cannot ignore that minus sign in this case. Because
Sorry,
minus
sir.
sign is important when it comes to potential.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, and option B is given to be right, sir.
Option B is right.
Sir, like, there's no power or anything of that sort, sir. Like, I think it's a
like,
type.
this printing is not clear. Actually, I think it should be 3 by 2. Power is 3 by 2.
Okay, sir. Yes. Thanks.
So that is the only option which seems to be reasonably correct there, because the formula is gmx by r square plus x square power 3y
Okay, sir.
for field at a point on the axis of the ring.
Okay, sir. Yes.
So C should be wrong answer.
C option. C option is Newton's law of gravitation for gravitational force between two bodies is applicable only when, no, that is not correct, because it's not that it is only when bodies are having a spherical symmetrical distribution. Newton's law of gravitation is applicable for all bodies. Fundamentally, it is applicable for point masses. Okay, but you can extend the fundamental Newton's law of gravitation, which we apply for point masses, to any other bodies using mathematics, of course. You can use integration and do it, but it's not only restricted to spherically symmetrical masses.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
I have a doubt in fluids. I'll share my screen, sir.
Okay.
Second question. Sir, can you see the question?
Yes, I can see the question.
Yeah. Okay. Sir,
liquid is flowing through horizontal pipes as shown in the figure. Length of the different pipes has the following relation: LAB equal to LCD equal to LEF by 2 equal to LGH by 2. Okay. Similarly, radii of different pipes have the relation RAB equal to RCD equal to REF. Okay, and that is equal to RGH by 2. Okay, that means RGH has thicker like cross-section radius. Right? And pressure at A is 2 P0 and pressure at D is P0. Okay, the volume flow rate through the pipe AB is Q. Okay, see, I'll just draw the diagram and discuss that. Yeah.
Sir, one thing, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
He's given that the pressure at A is different to that at D, right? But when we directly apply Bernoulli's theorem, the height is the same, the area cross-section and all are same. So for a steady flow,
yeah. See, just hold on here. I think you cannot apply Bernoulli's theorem.
okay. So why, sir?
That is because it seems to be a viscous fluid. Okay, did not specify anything, but we'll have to use Poiseuille's equation. Okay, so according to Poiseuille's equation,
Oh, we'll have to.
Volume flow rate is given by the formula pi into delta P into R power 4 by 8 eta L. Okay, so if you compare this volume flow rate with current, and you compare this delta P, or you consider this delta P to be something similar to potential difference. Okay, then you can write this as delta P equal to 8 eta L by pi R power 4 into volume flow rate. Okay, so it's like potential difference is equal to some constant into current. So this constant is something similar to like resistance you have in current. Okay, so with the similar like analogy, you can also say that in this setup, you can consider this to be like a combination of resistances. Okay, let us say this whole like expression you can see here, right? That you can treat it like resistance to flow. Okay, so then here for each section A, B, E, F, C, D, and G, H, you can define resistance like using this. Right? Okay, and then the equivalent resistance can also be determined like the same way, like taking it to be like a combination of series and parallel. Here EF and GH are like in parallel, and their parallel equivalent will be in series with AB and C. Now, are you following my point, Rahul?
Yes, sir. And yes, sir. I got that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Once you get the resistance, then all you need to do is take the potential difference between A and D and divide by the equivalent resistance. That will give you the net flow rate. Okay, that is the net flow rate for this point.
Okay, sir.
That flow rate is, suppose that net flow rate is I. Suppose net flow rate is I. Then I'll divide this net flow rate into these two branches in the inverse ratio of their resistance.
Yes, sir. So it's like a current analogy.
You get the flow rate through each like branch.
Yes.
Okay,
Fine,
but
I can
otherwise,
solve from
what
there.
your observation was right in the sense that pressures were different than like if you apply Bernoulli's theorem, it turns out to be, because if it all like it would have been a case of ideal fluid, then you wouldn't have got like different pressures like what is given in the question. Because if you have a pipe of
Yes,
uniform cross section, like both the ends pressure should be same. If
Yeah.
it is a horizontal pipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir?
So I'll share one more question, sir. It's 1 minute.
Okay.
Sir?
So this question, can you see it, sir?
No, I'm not seeing. I'm seeing the same old question.
1 minute. Yes, sir. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you slightly enlarge it?
Yes, I can. 1 minute.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
So I think there's something like this. Okay, so there's a setup we have. So here the system is released from rest. So due to the torque that is produced by this mass, the disk will start rotating. This disk of radius A will start rotating, and it will make this bigger disk also to rotate. Okay, this bigger disk also will rotate with the same angular velocity. Okay. And as it starts rotating, an EMF will develop between the across the ends. There will be an EMF developed between the center and the edge of the disk.
Yes.
Okay. Now you know that magnetic field here is perpendicular to plane of the disk.
Yes, sir.
Right? Magnetic field is perpendicular to plane of the disk. So the EMF will come out to be B omega R square by 2. Magnitude of EMF should come out to be B omega R square by 2, where omega is angular velocity.
So,
of course, here omega will be changing.
So in that loop that is formed over there with the resistor and the disk, how will the flow of current within the disk be? Will it be circular, concentric?
Imagine suppose this is a disk.
Yes, sir.
Field is directed into the plane. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, according to what is shown in the diagram, the rotation, like as seen from the left side, should be clockwise.
So no, sir. I'm talking about the current that flows in the disk. How would it flow inside the disk?
To understand the current itself, we have to understand this. See,
yes, sir.
Rotation is clockwise.
Yes, sir.
The rotation is clockwise. The disk also will rotate in the clockwise sense, and field is into the plane. Now, if the rotation is clockwise, so what will be polarity of the EMF? Can you figure that out?
Yes, sir. We can do it using Lenz's law.
Imagine a disk is rotating clockwise and field is into the plane, then what direction will you get for EMF?
So, but the field through the disk won't be changing, right? So,
You will get like EMF directed this way. It will have a polarity like this.
yes, yeah.
Positive will be outwards and negative will be towards the center. The negative terminal will be near
Yes.
center and positive will be towards the end. So which means this point is at higher potential as compared to this point. So the current is going to flow like this. Because this entire axle happens to be at same potential at center. And the periphery of the disk, point on the periphery of the disk will be at the same potential as this point of the disk. So across the resistance, you should have a potential difference which is equal to E. So the current that you will get, the magnitude of current.
And within the disk,
the total current will be again the same. The current will.
so but
branch
how
out
does
in
it
all
flow within the disk? It
In the
branches
disk,
out in
it
all
will flow-
directions.
It will flow in all directions radially.
Okay, sir.
It will distribute radially. The current. The
So
current
how are
will
we?
be- I will be E
How
by
are
R.
we?
B omega R square by 2 by R. This is the current we will get, which will distribute
Yes.
radially. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you following this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what is the question? The question was to find the terminal angle of velocity, right?
Yeah.
Now you have a current. Now, if you have a current, there will be there will be a torque acting on this disk due to the magnetic field.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how do you determine the torque? See, let us suppose that if this is a disk, and if current is flowing like this, current is flowing radially outwards. Okay, the disk, and magnetic field is into the plane. Then what kind of torque will you get? You will get a torque this way in the anti-clockwise sense.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Torque will be anti-clockwise. And that torque will be the opposing torque for the motion.
So, but how are we able to say that the current will only move radially within the disk? Why is it not concentric or any other manner? Why is it taken to be radially outwards?
Because the potential difference exists between this point and this point. And
Okay.
all the points in the periphery of the disk will have same potential.
Oh, okay. So, yes, sir.
Right? By symmetry, we can say that since all the points on the periphery have same potential, so you don't have a reason to think otherwise, other than
Yes.
considering that the current should be radial.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, how do you calculate this torque?
You can integrate for each line, sir. You can take us at a distance
You can take
dx.
one radial line and calculate the force.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. I can solve from there, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
That gravitation question you were discussing before, no, sir.
Gravitation question.
Newton's law of gravitation is only like it's not applicable. That option was there, no, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, it is applicable only if you assume them to be point masses, no, sir.
See, it is applicable in the form that we learn for point masses. But
Yes.
like that, the law can be used for other masses also, of course, with the help of mathematics.
So the actual Newton's law of gravitation is that the attractive force between the two masses is proportional to the product of the masses and the inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them, no, sir.
Hmm.
That is not the case if there is a ununiform distribution, no, sir. Non-uniform distribution.
See, although like we can't directly use that formula which we get from Coulomb's law, the fundamental formula, but the law will still be applicable for other masses also.
So then what is Newton's gravitational law, sir?
We have to calculate the net force by individually calculating forces on each mass and integrating it.
Sir, then what is Newton's gravitational law, sir?
See, Newton's gravitational law states that between two masses there is a force of attraction which will be proportional to product of masses and inversely proportional to square of distance between.
So, and that exact thing would be untrue for non-uniform distribution of masses, no, sir?
See, that way, if you consider, no, like you can't use Coulomb's law for any other charges other than point charges.
Yes, sir, exactly.
You can't even use Gauss law also. Like if you were to consider any like a situation, unless like you have like a charges present in a region, okay, which is enclosed, because strictly speaking, there are no point charges, but we are still able to use Coulomb.
But we are using Coulomb's law for point charges, sir. Like,
So there are no point charges actually. There are no point charges in nature.
Yes, sir.
Ideally, like if you consider in a real situation, there are no point charges in nature. Even an electron is not a point charge. Okay, so then in that sense, if you see we won't be able to use Coulomb's law anywhere.
Yes, sir. Sir, my doubt is this exact where we have non-uniform distribution. Over there, the gravitational force is not proportional to square of the distance between their centers, no, sir.
Okay.
Inversely proportional to. Then we can say that Newton's law of gravitation does not hold good, no, sir.
See, Newton's law of gravitation only tells you that clearly the law itself tells you that it is not the force between two bodies. It just tells you about the force between two point masses.
So then this Newton's law of gravitation is not applicable in this context only, no, sir.
See, Newton's law of gravitation, the formula that we get from Newton's law of gravitation is not applicable for like any body which is having some bigger size other than point masses. But you can use that fundamental law by considering like small masses to be considered like point masses, and you can extend. You can actually not even use if you consider that way, you can't even use Newton's law of gravitation even for spherically symmetrical bodies. Because spherically symmetrical bodies also, even though they look spherical, but they are not point masses.
Okay, sir.
Right? Because why are you saying that the force between two spherical bodies Gm1 m2 by r square? It's because you are integrating, you're taking point masses and integrating, and then finally getting the expression that Gm1 m2 by r square is the force. So ultimately, you see, like you got that expression of force by considering the fundamental expression which we learned from Newton's law, which is applicable for 2 point masses.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, in the previous question that Rahul was discussing, sir, like we consider that EMF in the disk to be like constant throughout the radius, sir.
EMF of the disk is constant through the radius.
Like we are not taking EMF as function of the radial distance, sir.
Okay.
Like
EMF across the ends we have taken as d omega r square. We have determined what is EMF across the ends of that is across the points are the center and the edge. Between the center and the edge, we have an EMF, and that EMF is d omega r square.
Okay, sir.
Okay? So that is what is important, because you are putting the resistance across those points only. No, one end of the resistance is connected to edge of the disk, and the other end of the resistance is connected to the rod or to the axle, and axle is connected to the center directly.
Yes, sir.
So the potential difference that forms across a resistance is basically the EMF between the center and the edge.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you tell how to find the torque equation once again?
Okay. See here, if you have like this, current is flowing outwards, and we have magnetic field inwards. So because of this magnetic field which is directed into the plane, there will be a torque which is in anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Suppose if I consider that here the current is di, Di is the current on one section, on one small section, and taking current to be Di. Then the force that will act will be Di into R into B. We can consider the force to be Di into R into B. Okay. Now that force we can consider it to be acting somewhere here in the middle. Okay. So because the force will act uniformly throughout, right? So then we will get force. Torque will be the field is uniform only into R by 2. But we'll have to integrate this for all the sections of current which are going out radially to get the net torque. So net torque should therefore be integration of theta. Integration of theta. Which will be same as which will come out to be I R square by 2a. Now I is something which you already seen. It is EMF by resistance. Okay, so this torque we can consider, which is acting on the disk in the opposite direction. Okay, and on the smaller disk which we have, in the smaller disk, Mg will be producing a torque. So because of tension in the string, there will be a torque. So we'll have Mg minus E equal to Ma, where A is acceleration of the torque. Okay, and moreover, we can say that A will be equal to R alpha. Okay, A will be equal to R alpha, where alpha is angular acceleration of the disks. Okay, so this is the same as, and then due to torque equation on the small disk, we'll get the T into A is the torque acting on small disk, which will be equal to I of the small disk, which is Ma square by 2. Okay, so this alpha we can also write as A by R. Okay, so this is one expression we are getting for T. So substituting this T in this expression, we will get an expression for E. Or we'll get an expression for alpha, because if you know A, we can find alpha also. After we find alpha, alpha is basically angular acceleration of this disk, because both of these disks are going to move together, so they will have same angular acceleration. Okay, so this is the angular acceleration of this disk we are getting from this. Once we get angular acceleration, okay, we can write alpha equal to, because alpha is in a direction opposite to omega, so we can consider alpha is minus d omega, or it is same as d omega by d. Okay, it will be negative in this case. D omega by dt will be a negative quantity. Okay, and which is equal to this. We'll also have to even consider this torque also on the expression, because on this body, like you find that if you take this disk and this disk to be one system, in the torque equation we'll have to consider not only the torque due to tension, but we have to also consider the torque due to this magnetic force also. Okay, now since he is asking you what is terminal angular velocity, so terminal angular velocity will be when angular velocity is maximum, and that will happen when the net torque becomes 0. Okay, so for terminal angular velocity, we can say that net torque is 0, which means the torque due to this tension should be equal to torque due to magnetic force. Okay, torque due to tension will be T into A. T to A. Okay, which we can find out from this equation. That should be equal to the torque due to magnetic force, which comes out to be I R square by 2.
Sir, here while integrating, di is a variable, like we know I as a function of omega, no sir?
I as a function of omega, yes.
And it's that's also varying, no sir?
I is varying with omega.
Yes sir.
So here when we are integrating, no, we are integrating not with respect to omega. Okay, so your integration variable is not omega, your integration variable is a space variable. You are integrating over the entire area of the disk at a given instant of time.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you are calculating the torque acting on this disk at a particular instant of time where omega value is fixed.
So can we tell that omega will be the terminal terminal angular velocity?
You will get some torque at any general time which will depend on omega. The torque that you get here is depending on omega.
Yes, sir.
Now, if that torque is equal to the torque produced by tension,
Okay.
then you can say that terminal velocity will be.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Because otherwise, what will happen? In the beginning, like the torque due tension will be more. So that's why it is accelerating.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but as angular velocity increases, this torque will increase.
Yes,
And soon a stage is reached where this torque becomes equal to the tension torque, and therefore net torque will be 0.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, the current will be changing radially, no, sir?
Current is flowing radially.
Yes, sir. It will be different at different radiuses, no, sir?
Different at different DI. I'm taking a section for which I'm considering the current to be DI.
Sir, but that to be changing.
If you add up all the DI over the entire around the complete disk, then you get I.
Yes, sir. But in that strip, sir, I'm getting the current to be increasing from inside to outside, sir.
Current is increasing from inside to outside. No, you can take this kind of section. Current is some DI current will be there.
Yes, sir. That I'm not getting constant, sir.
Not getting constant means?
Sir, I took at a distance, sir, there is a small ring.
Small ring.
So the potential difference will be B omega r, no, sir?
B omega r square by 2.
Sir, small, that ring radius is dr, no, sir? So we should differentiate, no, sir?
Ring radius is dr.
No, not dr, sir. Thickness is dr.
No, thickness is not dr. Ring is it's just a disk, not a ring. It's a disk in which the
dividing into the ring, sir.
Which ring?
Sir?
Which ring you are talking about?
At a radial distance r, sir.
You mean to say a ring like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But why are you taking a ring like this?
To find whether current is constant or not, sir.
To find whether current is constant or not. Current will be same in all the rings, no? In all the rings you should get same current.
I'm getting different, sir.
No, how you are getting different current? Can you explain?
I'm taking V equal to IR, sir. R will be changing, no, sir?
R will be changing.
Yes, sir.
I into R is resistance, no?
Yes, sir. R is changing, no, sir?
R is here. R is there for the resistance, external resistance. R is not there for this disk.
Okay, sir.
For the disk, there is no R.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have potential difference between here and here because of the rotation of the disk. So resistance is external resistance, and so potential difference between center and the edge, that divided by resistance, we are able to consider current in the resistance. And the current that flows in the resistance, that also flows through the disk. It flows radially out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, right. So like we will end the session here, and we will continue in the next session.